What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and let's talk about Mirana and why you guys should be playing core Mirana specifically to be gaining a lot more MMR. Hopefully you guys do enjoy the video. If you guys do, consider subscribing and joining the Dota Chronicles community. First of all, let's talk about why Mirana is good in the first place and what makes this hero such a special core nowadays rather than playing her as support. So I think support Mirana for the most part just takes too long to come online. It doesn't really provide a whole lot as core Mirana, because the thing is, if you miss your arrow on core Mirana, it's not the end of the world because you still have Starstorm and you're still able to do a lot more. But on support Mirana, you pretty much need a lot of setup for your arrow. You need to make sure you're landing those consistently, and you need to have a lot of resources and a lot of mana to be able to sustain in the lane and actually do something. And that's a lot harder to do from the support position than it is from the mid lane, which I think is her current best position right now. That's not to say you can't play support Mirana. I just think it's a lot harder, and there's a lot better supports right now in the meta. I think Mirana does a really good job as a core. Facet you guys are going to go for is Starstruck, which basically means Starstorm's second meteor deals more damage and it also blinds the target. Overall, this is the best facet you're going to be going for. It's going to allow you to do a lot more damage in the lane, and since you're going for this facet, you're going to be maxing out Starstorm, you're going to be taking 1 point in arrow, and then you're maxing leap. The whole point of this build is to have hybrid damage, a lot of physical damage coming out thanks to your leap, but you're also going to be doing a lot of magical damage thanks to your Starstorm. So having a mixed damage hero is always going to be very important, and that's one of the reasons why carry Mirana used to be strong when her ultimate was different. Getting all that damage was really cool. Now you don't have that. You could still set up team fights with your ultimate. That way your team gets into a much better position and you're able to actually get teammates out of sticky situations. So you can be using your Moonlight Shadow in offensive capability or defensive capability, which makes it a really nice hero because you can help out your team. This hero is pretty greedy when it comes to fighting, but it isn't greedy in terms of taking a lot of space on the map. And that's one of the things that makes core Mirana such a good thing, is that you don't have to be farming a lot on this hero. For the most part, you're going to be farming heroes rather than creeps. Yes, you are going to be hitting some camps here and there, but Mirana's not the type of hero that likes to go to the jungle and just stay there. You're going to be pushing out the lane and then looking for team fights with your team. You want to be playing with very active supports. You want to be playing with the likes of heroes like Shadow Shaman, Tusk. You want to play with some ogres, with some Queen of Pains, maybe some Earthshakers, heroes that like to be active around the map, that they like to roam. You do not want to play with very static, very slow heroes, because then you're not going to be gaining that early advantage as Mirana, because you have so much damage to pump out in the early game and so much versatility on the hero to be able to be making this space and be able to start fighting early without a whole lot of items. That's something a lot of heroes from the mid lane can't really offer nowadays. That speed Mirana is able to just play around the map is not matched by a lot of heroes in this meta. Let's talk about the build. So the build on Mirana hasn't really changed a lot. You're still going to be going for Tread's Maelstrom. That is pretty much your go-to, but then it really depends on what you want to go for. People will usually go for Daedalus, Shard, BKB, or you want to pick up an item like Butterfly. You can pick up the Fusel if you're going up against a Medusa or a hero with a really bad mana pool like a Spectre. You could go for an item like Dragonlance if you need a little bit more range and also some tank ability. It's also a pretty cheap item if you are having a rough time. Also, items like Manta are going to be really good, so keep that in mind. And Satanic for the late game is a must, especially with the amount of right click damage you are pumping out. Satanic is definitely very, very strong on this hero, but BKB for the most part is going to be very necessary. You should probably be picking it up second item and then continuing with your max damage build. It's just going to ensure that you're going to be more survivable. You're going to be able to do so much in the team fights thanks to that BKB, because if you get stun locked on Mirana, you're pretty much going to die. The hero is still very, very fragile, so you need to be able to play the team fights properly and build items that will help you to get those right clicks, get that Starstorm going, and get in the middle of the fight without being chain stunned. If you are facing against a lot of stuns, then pick up that BKB as soon as possible. That way you can have some freedom around the fights, because against very heavy burst lineups, Mirana does not do very well up against, as well as very tanky lineups. There's a lot of lineups nowadays that are playing off the backs of Earthshakers, Underlords, and heroes of this nature that are super tanky. If you are facing up against a lot of strength heroes, it's not going to go very well for you. Even though you do have a lot of damage and crit to be cutting these heroes down, it doesn't feel great because you do have to be in a much worse position to be able to capitalize on picking these heroes up, and it's also going to cost you a lot of time to be able to take them out. So for the most part, you want to have not not necessarily squishy heroes, but just not super beefy heroes. It's gonna make your time on Mirana much more enjoyable. Let's also talk about some of the best and worst matchups for Mirana. Some of the best matchups are heroes like Morphling, Omni Knight, Alchemist, Gyrocopter, Visage. These heroes do very well up against, especially heroes like Morphling. Landing an arrow on a full agi Morphling just feels so satisfying. It honestly makes my day. It's so fun to do, and it's very easy to do. Morphlings are going to be in the jungle and you're going to be hunting them. It's going to be free kills pretty much left, right, and center, and especially heroes like Huskar as well. That arrow just feels so nice when you're landing and it's a one-shot kill. It feels absolutely fantastic. And some of the bad matchups are heroes like Nepo, Primal Beast, Bat Rider, Mars, Lycan, and Phantom Lancer. Or the spirits, heroes like Storm Spirit are very good up against Mirana as well as Ember Spirit. Even though they are not in the best position in terms of the meta, they're still doing very well because Mirana is such a squishy hero. She doesn't like to be jumped. She doesn't like being pressured that much. So if she is being jumped, you need to make sure you have the right items to be able to get away, because you're not going to be able to get that damage out and you might just get bursted or chain stunned, and that's going to give you a lot of issues. And you can easily start chain feeding on Mirana. It's a hero that does take some practice, especially on arrows. Landing good arrows without setup does take a lot of practice. You need to be good at landing these arrows. You cannot always be depending on your team having the perfect setup for you to get that arrow going. It's kind of like Sunstrike. You will get better, and you can definitely tell a very successful Mirana from a new Mirana based on the arrow accuracy. But let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about Mirana this patch? I think the hero is super strong, if not borderline broken, if played correctly. If you know what you're doing on Mirana, you should be playing it as mid, and you will be getting a lot more MMR. As a matter of fact, I've been completely owning on this hero. Even playing carry Mirana, it feels really nice, and I'm really glad Mirana's slowly coming back into the core position, as this hero has always been pretty solid. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.